There's something nobody really prepares you for. Not your doctor, not your children, not even time itself. It's the quiet that settles in after loss. Not just the loss of people, but of roles. You were once a spouse, a parent with children who needed you, a friend always on call, a neighbor who made tea for visitors, and then, slowly, those roles begin to fade. The children grow up, move far away, and get busy with their own lives. They call yes, but the calls grow shorter, and the silences afterward stretch longer. You sit by the window waiting for the knock that doesn't come. You keep the house clean just in case someone drops by. You make a little extra food, hoping someone will share it. But often it's just you and the memories, and that's the second kind of loneliness, the one no one sees. The loneliness of being unneeded. There's a painful question many elders ask themselves in private. Am I still important to anyone? It's not about being dramatic. It's about feeling like the world has moved on, and you've been left on the porch watching it disappear. But here's where the wisdom of age shines. Because when you've lived this long, you begin to understand something most people never do. Importance doesn't come from being busy. It comes from being present. There are younger people, caregivers, even strangers, who will never admit it, but they're watching you. The way you carry yourself, the way you keep going, the quiet strength behind your eyes. You may feel invisible, but to someone, you're a living lighthouse. You've survived loss, war, heartbreak, illness, and more birthdays than you ever expected. That's not small. That's not forgotten. That's legacy. And you don't need to prove your worth by doing more. Sometimes your very being is enough. Your wisdom, your stillness, your memory of a world that once was. These things are priceless. 30-year-old may scroll 1,000 videos and forget them by morning. But one story from an 80-year-old can stay in the heart forever. You are not unneeded. You are essential history. You are the keeper of family recipes no one wrote down. The voice that remembers when milk came in glass bottles and neighbors shared sugar without asking. You are the only one left who remembers what Grandpa's laugh sounded like or how Mom used to hum while cleaning the floor. You are quite simply the soul of your family's story. So even if no one says it today, please hear this now. You still matter. Deeply, immensely, unforgettably, and no amount of silence can take that away. Now, if your heart feels heavy hearing all this, that's okay. Let it be heavy. Let it feel. You've earned the right to feel deeply. But don't stop there. Do one small thing tomorrow. Call an old friend. Write a letter. Water a plant. Wave at the neighbor's kid. Smile at the bus driver. One small action creates a ripple that reaches farther than you think, because even after 80, you're still planting seeds of kindness, of memory, of wisdom. And one day someone will say, I remember how that elder made me feel, seen, heard, loved. And isn't that what we all want in the end? To know that we were not just alive, but that we meant something to someone. So take a deep breath. You're still here, and that means there's still purpose ahead. Stay with me as we go deeper into this journey, because the next part of life after 80 reveals even more truth, and even more quiet strength than most people realize. There's a moment sometime after you turn 80 when something small happens. Maybe you drop your keys and hesitate to bend down, or you struggle to open a jar you used to twist effortlessly. It's in these tiny moments that the truth begins to whisper. You're not as strong as you once were, not just physically, but in ways no one can see. There is a unique kind of sadness that comes when you realize your body is no longer your own. The stairs feel steeper, your hands feel slower, and your balance more fragile. You may begin to feel nervous walking alone, even in your own home. That bathroom trip in the middle of the night feels like a risk. You start thinking twice before standing on a stool, even to reach something simple, because one fall can change everything. And that's the word we avoid, but silently fear: dependence. It's not that you don't appreciate help. It's just that asking for it feels like surrendering a piece of yourself. You used to drive yourself to the market. Now someone insists on coming with you. You used to cook for the whole family. Now they tell you to rest while they take over. You used to be the helper. Now you're being helped. No one talks about how that makes you feel inside. It's not about pride. It's about identity. You start wondering, if I'm not the one who takes care of others, then who am I now? There's also the guilt that comes with it. You don't want to feel like a burden, so you say you're fine when you're not. You hide the pain in your knees, the shortness of breath, the dizzy spells. Because deep down, you fear they'll treat you differently if they know, and sometimes they do. Your voice gets softer. Decisions are made for you instead of with you. Your opinions are met with polite smiles instead of real respect. You begin to feel small, invisible, unheard. But let me tell you a truth that doesn't get said enough. Needing help doesn't make you any less strong. In fact, it takes great courage to admit you need support. You're still the same person who raised children, ran a household, worked through storms, and held the world together when no one else knew how. So if you now lean on someone's arm when walking, if you now take more medications or use a walker or need reminders, that is not weakness, that is survival. That is wisdom. That is what being human looks like in its rawest, realest form. You have nothing to prove. Because your worth was never in your independence, it was in your love, your endurance, your experience, your stories, your soul. And no walker, no wheelchair, no helping hand can take that away. Reflection moment, a gentle story. I once met a woman named Bono, age 87, who had lost the ability to cook, which was once her greatest joy. Her hands shook too much. Her eyes couldn't see the spice labels clearly, and she feared starting a fire by accident. Her family insisted she stop. She was heartbroken. But then, one afternoon, she asked her granddaughter to sit with her in the kitchen, not to cook, but to learn. She guided with her voice, with her memory, with the wisdom in her heart. Her granddaughter chopped, stirred, and tasted, and together they created something beautiful. Bono smiled and whispered, "I may not cook anymore, but I can still pass down flavor." That's what adapting to new limitations can look like. Not giving up, but giving differently. A gentle truth, spoken slowly and with warmth. Your body may not do what it used to, but your mind, your presence, your essence, those are still yours. You can still inspire. You can still listen deeply. You can still offer wisdom, comfort, laughter, and guidance. And most of all, you can still love. So instead of mourning what you can no longer do, cherish what you still can. Maybe you can't walk far, but you can write a letter. Maybe you can't lift much, but you can lift someone's spirit. Maybe your hearing has faded, but your words still echo in someone's heart. You are not just a person with needs. You are a person with value, a legacy in progress, a life still unfolding. There is a kind of silence no one talks about. Not the silence of a quiet house, but the silence that comes from being forgotten by your own family. At first, you don't notice it. A skipped call, a birthday wish sent late. You tell yourself, they're busy, that's life. But then the weeks turn into months. The conversations get shorter. The visits become rare. They stop asking for your stories, they stop including you in their plans. And suddenly, it feels like you've gone from being the heart of the family to a footnote in their lives. It's a pain that cuts deeper than illness or age, because it's not just about loneliness, it's about feeling unseen. You raised them, you fed them, you stayed up through their sickness, gave up your dreams so they could chase theirs. And now, they don't have time. You sit by the phone hoping it rings. You check your calendar, hoping someone remembered. And when they don't, you tell yourself it's okay, because what else can you say? But inside there's grief. A different kind of grief. Not for the dead, but for the living who forgot how much you loved them. You ask yourself, did I do something wrong? Did I fail them somehow? But no. The truth is, you didn't fail. Society did. We live in a world that worships youth and forgets wisdom. That rushes ahead without remembering who cleared the path. Older people become too slow, too quiet, too inconvenient. And yet, they are the foundation. Let me remind you now, with no hesitation, you are not forgotten by life, only by the distracted. And that is not your shame to carry. Story moment spoken softly with empathy. I remember a man named Haroon, 86 years old. He used to host every Eid gathering. His children and grandchildren filled his home with noise, food, and laughter. But then one year no one came. Not because they didn't care, but because they got caught up. Work, travel. "Next year, Dad," they said. But Haroon looked at the empty chairs and whispered, "I may not have another year." So he started doing something beautiful. He wrote each family member a letter, not to blame, not to guilt, but to remind them of the games they used to play, the stories he once told, the sacrifices he once made, and more than anything, to say, "I still love you, I'm still here, and I remember every detail you've forgotten." A week later they showed up, ashamed, tearful, and changed. Not because he begged, but because he gently held up a mirror to their memory. Sometimes we must teach others how to remember us. There comes a point, quietly and without ceremony, when many elders begin to wonder, "Am I a burden now?" It's not always spoken out loud, but it lingers behind every request for help, every sigh when someone has to wait, every apology whispered when you forget something or move too slowly. You start to shrink, not just in posture but in spirit, trying not to inconvenience anyone. You say things like, "Don't worry about me, I'll manage," even when your legs ache and your heart longs for company. You feel the shift in people's eyes, not with cruelty but with fatigue, and you wonder if your presence is more weight than warmth. But dear one, let me say what you must hear. You are not a burden. You are a blessing wrapped in years of survival, love, and quiet sacrifice. Needing help is not a flaw. It is a reminder of the very thing that makes us human, our interdependence. You once held others when they were weak. You once stayed up at night to soothe a child's fever, or stood in long lines to bring food, home, or worked through exhaustion because the family needed you. Now, in these later years, if you need someone to walk slower, to listen longer, to stay a little closer, that is not weakness. That is the circle of life turning gently, as it always has. Your value does not diminish with age. In fact, it deepens. The slower pace you move with now allows space for others to pause and see what they've been rushing past. Your conversations hold depth that younger hearts haven't earned yet. Your presence is a quiet lighthouse in a stormy world, reminding people of what truly matters: kindness, patience, and love that doesn't depend on perfection. You are still teaching, even when you say nothing. You are still giving, even when you sit still. And when you love, oh, how deeply you love, it carries the weight of decades. Please don't let this world trick you into believing that your value is measured by productivity. You are not here to perform. You are here to be wisdom, memory, warmth, and resilience. And if there are days when the loneliness feels too much, when the silence is too loud, remember this: someone, somewhere, carries a piece of you inside them. A phrase you once said, a recipe you taught, a lesson you gave without knowing. You live on in laughter, in habits, in hearts. That is legacy. That is immortality. So stand tall in your spirit, even if your body leans. You are not a burden. You are a light. And the world is better for every moment you remain in it. If this story moved you, share it with someone you care about.